I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I was quite a weird kid growing up, and there were quite a number of things that I would do that would seem out of the ordinary to some people. Everyone at one point in their childhood had some sort of way to express their imagination. Most kids would express their creativity through drawing doodles on paper. But when I was young, since I loved to watch cartoons so much, I developed a habit of acting out my favorite scenes from my favorite films, movies, TV shows, all you can think of. But I wouldn't just recite what the characters were saying. I'd often pretend I was in their actual footsteps, meaning that I would actually act out what the characters would do on screen. I wouldn't just say their lines, I would also act out what they do when they're moving around, what kind of action they're pulling off, stuff like that. Unfortunately for me, I never really knew when it was appropriate for me to do these types of things. And because of that, I guess you could say from that experience I learned the hard way. I distinctly remember the kids laughing at me and treating me like I was some sort of mentally challenged person. So much so that they would call me vulgar names that insulted my intelligence. As you could imagine, it made me feel like a complete fool, and it made me feel like utter garbage. And while a lot of the kids would give me a hard time about the strange things that I did, honestly, I myself never really understood why I did those things. I didn't know it was a habit I developed over time. I just thought it was something that kids would normally do. Act out their imaginations. But I guess everyone else didn't see it that way. Over time, I became very socially awkward around other students, and it seemed like a lot of people just didn't like me. It didn't help when the kids who I once called my friends turned on me as the years went by. It was emotionally scarring, and it made me feel terrible. But the kids weren't the only people who made me feel like utter garbage. In science class, we had to have two things in order to work on the topic that we were assigned: a textbook and a workbook. One day in science class, I couldn't find my workbook anywhere, so understandably, I asked the teacher where it was out of concern. But instead of answering my question, suddenly the whole class and the teacher just laughed at me. But I wasn't trying to make a joke about anything. I was being legitimately serious, and I didn't want to fall behind. Just why are they laughing at me? Does my stress amuse them? If so, I don't get the joke, and I don't think I ever will. But what hurt me most is that the teacher was laughing at me. The teacher of all people! Which brings me to what I hated most about going to this elementary school. The adults were just no help to me at all. Whenever I was punched in the gut and I seriously needed medical attention, the yard supervisors did nothing about it. They didn't even care. It didn't even faze them. When I was actually in distress about work, when I had no idea what I was doing, when I needed some help and guidance, the teachers would only put me down and make me feel worse. Whenever a child was bullying me, making my life a living hell at school, none of the adults even bothered to help me or fix anything. And other times when I was being bullied, the adults would often punish me, when really I'm the victim. If this is what it meant to be a part of school every day, I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I wanted nothing to do with it. I just wanted to leave this hellhole. Because I knew the longer I'd stay, I'd just continue to suffer. All the constant harassment was starting to affect me internally, and I just wanted to go to a new school. I just wanted to forget about this old school and leave it behind. Fortunately, my prayers were answered. When I became a student at a charter school, I began to feel right at home. Even though there were moments at the new school where I felt mistreated, I was always able to bounce back and become a stronger person. Now, I want you to understand something. I'm telling you this because I don't want any other young kids going through the emotional distress that I had to endure during my time in elementary school. If I hadn't gone to this brand new charter school like I did a few years back, I would have never gained the courage to talk to other kids or anyone. I'd still be left alone in a void of sadness and confusion, without any help, forever cemented in darkness.
I'm on my way. One night hit the waves and I'm stuck out in the open dark sea. Found myself a pirate, or maybe he found me, I don't know. I need someone to come and save me, maybe Peter Pan. 'Cause I saw a pearl that was more than just a dream.